1%, 3%. And you're looking at these numbers, and we're at 60 and 70%. Why would you do that? You want intelligent people, don't you, to be running your country? But I do look forward to the debate with Joe. No, corrupt. With Crooked Joe. No, I look forward to that. Remember last time I said, where and why did you accept $3.5 million? Remember that? Why did you accept? On the debate stage, I had that guy, Chris Wallace. How's he doing? How's his career going? Not too good. He always wanted to be his father, Mike, but somehow it didn't work out. It's called lack of talent. But think of this. Think of this. Remember on the debate stage, I said to Biden, I said, why did you accept $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? And Chris Wallace, he didn't know how to answer the question. Chris Wallace said, you shouldn't be asking that question. I said, has a lot to do. Why did he get $3.5 million from Moscow? He didn't do anything for it. And Chris Wallace stopped him from giving an answer, which he didn't have, by the way. Saved him. They want me to go to the Reagan Library, as an example, which is, nobody knew this until I brought it up yesterday, which is run by a guy named Fred Ryan. He is the chairman and CEO of the Washington Post. Can you believe it? This could only happen? The Washington Post, the enemy of the people, the Washington Post, think of this, is running the Reagan Library. I think Ronald Reagan would be spinning in his grave, okay? But you say, how did that happen? But they want me to go. And sadly, your Governor Sununu doesn't register. No, sort of a nasty, isn't he a nasty guy? You know, it's funny, his father was very, very tough. But when I won, he became one of my best supporters. He really was. He really was great. But he was really tough. This guy doesn't have the same qualities. But you know what? You think of it. He could have run. He could have had a Senate seat. Would have helped so much. You know, he's playing games. But Sununu, if you take a look at what he's done, it's crazy. We're leading him, I guess, 58% to 7 in your state. You saw the poll, 58 to 7. And now if he ran for the Senate, he probably couldn't win even, you know, if you put him back in that same position. But he could have really made an impact. He could have run for the Senate, would have probably easily won because of the family name, would have won. And that would have been a tremendous thing. Instead, he wants to play games with running for president where he's registered at less than 1%. I don't think he's going to make it. If he made it, it would be the biggest upset in the history of politics. Any country will include every single country all over the world. And he should stop being a nasty guy and telling people that I won't win in the general election, which I will. Remember? Speaking of which, we're leading Biden by 7 points in Rasmussen poll. We're leading him by 7 points in the Harvard poll, Harvard-Harris, and by 11 points in another poll. And by the way, the same people that said the same thing in 2016, well,
can't go? Do this to clear out stuck poop fast. Fiber helps you poop.
Maybe he'll win here, but he's not going to win in the general election. They love that. That's the only narrative they have left. But we're winning against everybody, and we're doing just as well in the general election. And then I won. And then I won a second time by far more votes, but it was a rigged election. So, you know, what are you going to do? And that's the thing I asked Steve and all the people up here, because these are incredible people. I don't even care if you help me campaign. You don't have to help me. What I want you to do is help me on election evening, which is no longer election evening. It's election period. Because these people have like a month and 2 months to look around and play around with the votes. How people let this happen. We got to go to all paper ballots, voter ID, same day voting, 1 day. How about some of these guys? The votes aren't final until 2 weeks after the election. You say, how do you tabulate the result? What do everybody wait? The nation waits? It's a disgrace what's happened. And I asked the people on stage, and we have a lot of people in the audience that are great politicians and very important for your state. I don't want help. I don't even want help with the vote. I just want help on making sure the vote is cast and counted fairly. You know, Lenin, did anyone ever hear of Lenin? He said, the vote counter is far more important than the candidate. Has anyone ever heard that's Lenin, as they say in Russia. But no, the vote counter is far more important. It's very sad. We did so unbelievable. We got more votes than any sitting president by far. We got millions of more votes than Barack Hussein Obama. I was told if we got the same number, we can't lose. We got millions more, millions and millions more. And well, we thought we won until about 10:15 in the evening. Then all of a sudden we said, what's going on here? Now we got to straighten out our borders. Got to straighten out our elections, because we're like a third world country. These incredible poll numbers are one of the main reasons that the Marxist left is coming after us, using the criminal justice system for massive election interference. That's what they're doing. They want to weaponize law enforcement to interfere with our elections through the use of the DOJ and the FBI, attorney generals, and local district attorneys who actually, you know, the district attorney we have in New York, he's reporting into Washington. They sent one of the top guys from Washington to help him run his office. That's beautiful. Isn't it a wonderful life? But in the end, they're not coming after me. They're coming after you, and I'm just standing in their way. I'm just standing. I will always stand in their way. But we can't let that happen, because that's going to a lower level even than what happened in 2020. That's going, in my opinion, to a lower level that even happened in 2020. And they're working on, I got more DAs and local people nobody ever heard of. We want the president in to testify on what? I have nothing to do with it. Well, we want him in anyway to testify. Maybe he'll make a mistake. Maybe he'll do something. It's a disgrace. What's happening with our country is a disgrace, and it's a laughingstock all over the world. As the endless witch hunts and persecutions reveal, our enemies are desperate to stop us because they know we are the only ones who can stop them. They know that. There's never been a movement like this. By the way, in the history of our country, there's never been a movement like MAGA, Make America Great Again. There's never been a movement. We've never had a movement. And with all of the, I'm looking, it's a lot of fake news. With all of the news back there, nobody's ever questioned it. You know, if I say something and I'm like slightly off, they say, oh, he made a mistake. He this, that, you know, these people. I've never been challenged. I say it all the time. Are you hearing me? There's never been a movement in history like MAGA, Make America Great Again. But unlike other politicians, the harder our enemies hit me, the stronger and more determined we are. And that's as a party and as a movement itself. They hit me and we're all together. I'm with you, you're with me. And the harder they hit, the better we do. You saw that a couple of weeks ago with these fakers. In recent months, I've been laying out a bold, forward-looking vision for what we will do when we become the 47th president of the United States. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after I win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. It would have never happened. That war would have. I spoke to Putin about it. There was no chance that he would have gone in with me as president. And there was no chance that President Xi of China would have gone into Taiwan. I was the only president in decades who didn't start a war. You know that. Everyone said, oh, he's going to start a war because they said I had that personality to start a war. They remember that? Oh, we can't vote for him. He's going to start a war. No, I used my personality that we didn't have to have wars. And I got out of wars, including knocking the hell out of ISIS, took over 100% of the ISIS caliphate. 100%. I took over 99% of the ISIS caliphate. I said, all right, we're going home. Let's get our great soldiers. We're bringing them home. And the media started saying, well, why not 100? I said, you know what? We better finish it off because they'll say I left early, and we knocked the hell out of them. That was the end of that. We took over 100%. We came home. But now I understand they're rebuilding again because they have no respect for our country. Standing before you today, I am the only candidate who can make this promise. I will prevent World War III. I promise. Not going to be a World War III. And very sadly, there's never been talk like what you're hearing now, because this guy doesn't have a clue how to speak. He's too tough when he should be soft. He's too soft when he should be tough. He says things that are so bad, provokes, and then shows weakness. It's the craziest thing. He says just the opposite of what you have to say. I know Putin very well. I know Xi very well. I know Kim Jong-un. If I didn't take over from Obama, if he had another year, you would have had a nuclear war with Kim Jong-un of North Korea. You would have had a nuclear war. Then when I got along with him, everyone hated. The fake news hated that I got along. He gets along. Isn't it a good thing to get along with a guy with 5,000 nuclear weapons? That's okay. But I did get along with him. I got along with a lot of people that people are surprised, really surprised. That's why we had no wars, and they would have never gone in. And it's so all those people dead in Ukraine, far more than you think, far more than they report, these phony numbers where a city is
deliver a better attendee experience right in the palm of their hands.
Blown up, buildings all crushed to the ground. There's nothing standing. And they say nobody was killed. 2 people were hurt. Hundreds of people, thousands of people were killed. These numbers are far greater and far worse than you hear. When I get back into the Oval Office, we will totally obliterate the deep state. We will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption. By the way, they spied on my campaign. They got caught. Can you imagine if let's take Barack Hussein Obama. Let's say we spied on his campaign, you got caught. What do you think would happen? You think it would just be some stories in only a few newspapers, because most of them don't even want to write it. They would have brought back the electric chair. That's what they would have done. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace, unequal justice. And I will require every federal employee to pass a new civil service test. How about the president? Let's start with the president. Demonstrating an understanding of our Constitution. To stop the local Marxist prosecutors who release rapists and murderers while persecuting conservatives. On day one of my new administration, I will direct the DOJ to investigate every radical district attorney and attorney general in America for their illegal, racist, and reverse enforcement of the law. I will quickly restore the most secure border in U.S. history, just as we had 3 years ago. We had the strongest, most powerful, most secure border in the history of our country. 3 years ago, we had the most secure. We built hundreds of miles of wall. It worked, by the way. Then we were going to do 200 more miles of wall in certain areas where we could see it was a little weaker than we wanted it. We started that. Could have been finished in 3 weeks if he did it. We had the stuff ordered. He took it away and hid it so that Texas and Arizona couldn't use it. And that's what I said. I guess they really do want open borders, and they actually want open borders, and nobody understands why. Why do you want to have people from prisons? Why do they want that? Why do you want people from prisons and mental institutions and insane asylums? That's a step above. That's Silence of the Lamb type, okay? Why do we want these people in our country? Why are we allowing them? And you know, you have to see these other countries. They are, I mean, they've never had it so good. Their prisons are emptied out into the U.S. They have no more costs. They don't want to take care of these people for 70 years, which is what you could have. I mean, they have this MS-13. You saw what happened yesterday with this killer, this thug. He was an MS-13. The level of violence, they called it demonic. The level of violence is incredible. We have become a dumping ground for the entire world. The money they save, no prisons, no mental institutions. There was a story recently about a psychologist or psychiatrist, but a psychologist who worked in mental wards in South America. And he said, I worked 24, a good man, he worked 24 hours a day taking care of very mentally ill people. And he was sitting there reading a newspaper, and they asked him, what's he doing? He said, I have no more work. The people have all been let go into the United States. Can you believe this is what we're doing? How stupid are we? This is what we're doing. And this you pay for. I mean, sure, we can get a lot of them out, but this is what we're paying for. And the crime, you have not seen anything. Wait till you see this. But he said they've let them go in the United States. But this is not true with the 3 or 4 countries that we think of, Honduras and Mexico, El Salvador. This isn't just that little area. This is all over the world. They're letting them in from all over the world. They're coming in. They're coming through the southern border, and we had it stopped up. One of the very first bills I signed will be for a massive increase in Border Patrol and colossal increase in the number of ICE deportation officers. We're going to follow the Eisenhower model. People don't realize it with Eisenhower. He was very tough on illegal immigration. A lot of people don't realize that. He was really tough on illegal immigration. We will use all necessary